Ever get this weird feeling like the past isn't really gone?
You mean like it's still echoing out there?
Yeah, exactly. And today, get this, we're diving into ancient Hindu cosmology. Turns out those ancient mystics might have had a surprisingly scientific take on this whole time thing.
It's not just some ancient mythology. This stuff is deeply complex. A system of thought, really, that lines up with some of the most mind-blowing science happening right now.
Okay, now I'm hooked. Where do we even start? This seems huge.
Well, think about modern astronomy. We're literally observing the past.
We are.
Yeah, the source mentions, like when we observe a far-off interstellar event through telescopes, that's something that happened millions of years ago. Millions.
It's like the universe is this giant time capsule, and we're just cracking it open. But how does Hindu cosmology play into this?
Imagine the universe is like this grand cosmic movie. We're constantly receiving light and information from events that happened ages ago, experiencing echoes of the past right now. This aligns with māyāvāda.
My what?
Māyāvāda. It's a concept in Sanatana about the illusion of time, past, present, future. Not really separate, they're all intertwined.
Okay, so it's not just about seeing light from stars that died millions of years ago. We're talking about a deeper connection to how we experience time itself.
Absolutely. Take gravitational waves, for example. The source mentions we detected waves from a neutron star collapsing ages ago. Pick them up with these incredibly sensitive instruments, LIGO.
So we're listening to the faintest whisper of some distant cosmic event.
Precisely. And these waves, they prove that even events from the distant past, they leave their mark on space-time, like ripples in a pond, spreading outward, carrying information about where they began.
It's like the universe is talking to us, revealing its secrets through these whispers. And I can't forget about the cosmic microwave background radiation, a message from the universe's infancy, like the source describes it.
The faint afterglow of the Big Bang, pure information goldmine about the universe's earliest moments.
Mind-blowing. Makes you wonder. If we can look back to the very beginning, can we glimpse the future too? Like, will it end with a bang, a rip, or maybe just fade away, a cosmic freeze?
Cosmologists have been trying to figure that out for centuries. And this is where ancient Hindu cosmology gets really interesting. Heard of the pañcamahākṛtyāni?
Not ringing any bells.
5 cosmic acts. They're like the key movements in the universe's grand dance.
So not a one-time big bang, a cyclical universe constantly being born, existing, and then dissolving, only to be reborn again.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And this cosmic dance, it's beautifully symbolized in the image of Lord Nataraja.
Wait, the one with the blue skin and the circle of fire?
That's the one. And it's amazing. Think about it. The light cone diagram physicists use for spacetime looks a lot like Nataraja's drum.
You're kidding. A visual connection, ancient symbolism, modern physics. That's wild.
Right. Makes you think about the depth of knowledge these traditions hold. The light cone shows us the limits of how we can see past and future events, limited by the speed of light. And Nataraja's drum, it's symbolizing the boundaries of creation and destruction within this endless cosmic dance.
Starting to see how these ancient ideas might have been onto something huge, especially when the source mentions physicists like Alexander Friedman. He actually saw connections between Hindu mythology's cycles and our current models of the universe.
Right. Friedman noticed this idea. The universe, constantly expanding and contracting, breathing in and out, it lines up with some of our current astrophysical models. Changes everything about how we think about the universe's lifespan.
So instead of one big finale, it's more like a cosmic heartbeat, repeating eternally.
Precisely. And just as Hindu cosmology talks about cycles within cycles, modern astrophysics breaks down the universe's life into 5 major eras: primordial, stelliferous, degenerate, black hole, and dark era.
Whoa, 5 eras matching up with 5 cosmic acts. Mind-blowing. So walk me through this. How do they connect?
Okay, picture this. The primordial era. The very beginning. It's like the active creation in Hindu cosmology. Makes sense, right? Then stars ignite, they start shining. We enter the stelliferous era, a time of sustenance.
Okay, creation, sustenance. What's next?
The degenerate era. Stars begin to die out, universe cools down. That's like the dissolution phase.
And then, poof, everything just disappears.
Not quite. Then we enter the black hole era. Immense gravity, even light can't escape. It's like a cosmic veiling. Everything disappears from view.
Okay, that's intense. But what about grace? Where does that fit in?
That's where it gets really interesting. See, after the black hole era, we hit the final stage.
Yeah.
The dark era. Almost complete energy depletion.
Bargy.
Instead of it being the end. Hindu cosmology sees this as a return to a primordial state. a moment of grace before the next cycle begins.
So even in the universe's apparent death, there's this seed of potential, kind of like how some scientists think supermassive black holes could be gateways to other universes. It's this whole cyclical idea all over again.
Exactly. And that's where the Hiranyagarbha comes in.
Okay, gotta ask, what's that?
The golden womb. It's this Hindu cosmology idea that even in the void, there's this seed of potential. It's got the blueprint for the next universe, like the universe is constantly renewing itself.
It's incredible how this ancient wisdom it resonates with cutting-edge science.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like, what if how we understand time is completely wrong? What if this line from past to future, what if it's all an illusion?
Okay, you have to elaborate on that one because now I'm really curious. Okay, hold on. We're talking billions of years for these cycles, right? What about smaller cycles? Something a little more, relatable for those of us who don't live for billions of years.
That's a great point. Hindu cosmology isn't just about these massive timescales. It's framework, it applies to everything, even our everyday lives.
Okay, I like where this is going. Give me an example.
Think about just breathing, inhaling, exhaling, right? Taking in, sustaining, releasing. It's like a tiny echo of those huge cosmic rhythms.
Wow, never thought of it like that, but it makes sense.
And it's not just breathing. The source talks about different types of dissolution, or pralaya. They illustrate this really well.
Okay, before we go full Sanskrit on me, remind me what pralaya is again?
Basically, it means dissolution, destruction even, but not in a bad way necessarily, more like returning to a state of potential before something new can begin.
Gotcha. Okay, so what are some of these different pralayas?
Well, there's nitya pralaya. It's happening constantly, but like on a microscopic level. Think of it like in the quantum world. Particles are always popping in and out of existence, a never-ending dance of creation and annihilation.
So it's like the universe is refreshing itself even at the tiniest level. That's wild. What else?
Then there's dina pralaya, happens every day.
Wait, every day? What are we talking about here? What's getting destroyed daily?
Think about sleep.
Yeah.
Your waking consciousness, it dissolves, right? You go into this state of unconsciousness, a mini death almost, before waking up to a brand new day.
You're saying sleep is like a mini pralaya. That's a pretty mind-blowing way to think about catching some Z's. Okay, so we've got the cosmic, the microscopic, and the everyday pralaya going on. What happens when we die, though?
That's paru pralaya, the individual soul dissolving.
All right.
So most people think of when they hear pralaya.
Right, the end of our journey through time. Or is it?
That's the question, isn't it? Because in Hindu belief, the soul is reborn, carries those past experiences with it, the karma, into a new life.
So death isn't an ending, more like a transition point in a much bigger cycle.
Yes, and these cycles, they keep getting bigger. The source also talks about naimittika pralaya. That's a dissolution at the end of each kalpa.
Hold on, kalpas. How long were those again?
A kalpa is a long time, like insanely long, roughly 4.32 billion years. It's basically a day in the life of Brahma, the creator god.
Okay, so we're back to big cycle. So what happens during a naimittika pralaya?
Imagine hitting the reset button on the universe.
Yeah.
Everything within the Brahma, the cosmic egg, it all dissolves back to its purest form.
Wow, a total cosmic clean slate. It doesn't end there, though, right?
Nope. Gets even bigger.
Yeah.
Next, you've got Sarya Pralaya.
Okay, there's a pattern here. Bigger cycles, longer timelines. So what's dissolving in a Sarya Pralaya?
This one's at the end of a Surya Kalpa, which lasts for, get this, 30.24 billion years.
30 billion. Makes a kalpa feel short.
I know, right? And during a Surya Pralaya, it's not just planets, not galaxies, it's entire solar systems. Gone. Poof.
So even stars have a life cycle within these grander cycles. It's kind of mind-blowing how much exists beyond our own little corner of the universe.
And it goes even further. The ultimate dissolution, Praktapalaya, or Mahapralaya, happens at the end of Brahma's life. That's a Brahma Kalpa. Lasts for, get this, 311.04 trillion years.
Trillion. Okay, now you're just messing with me. Those are numbers my brain can't even process.
It's true. During the Mahapralaya, everything goes. The entire universe, the higher realms, everything dissolves back into pure consciousness.
A cosmic reset for, literally everything.
Exactly. But remember, it's not an ending. It's a completion. A chance for something new to begin.
End might be the wrong word for all of this. It's all just part of this never-ending cycle, huh?
Now you're getting it. And within this cosmic dance, we have our own little dances, right? Those smaller cycles of birth, death, and rebirth.
I know, it's almost too much to think about. It's amazing, but also, really makes you feel small,
You're telling me.
Yeah.
It really makes you appreciate just how vast and complex everything is, right?
It really does. But before we move on to the next mind-blowing thing, there's one thing I gotta ask. The source mentioned another kind of pralaya, something called achantika pralaya. What's the deal with that one?
Oh yeah, atyantika pralaya. It's different. It's not a collective thing, like the others.
Yeah.
It's more of an individual experience.
Okay, now I'm really interested. Individual pralaya, how does that work?
It's like this. Atyantika pralaya, it's about the ultimate liberation of a soul, what we also call moksha.
So instead of being reborn, it's like breaking free from the whole cycle.
Yes, exactly. It's about reaching a state of pure bliss, no more limits of time and space, becoming Siranyava, an immortal being.
That's intense. So even with the universe doing its cosmic dance thing, individuals can find a way to break free from the cycle entirely.
That's the idea. It suggests we're not just along for the ride. We can evolve, maybe even transcend time itself.
It's both empowering and kind of terrifying. Makes you wonder about those ancient stories about time travel, like Narada, Kukudmi, Leela, all those Hindu mythology stories. Could they be onto something?
Right. Makes you think, doesn't it? I mean, if even this whole linear time idea is debatable, who's to say what's possible? Maybe those stories are more than just stories. Maybe they're glimpses of something we're only starting to grasp.
Okay, my head is spinning. But before we go full-on time travel, let's back up a sec. I noticed the source mentioned something about inconsistencies and how Hindu scriptures describe the lengths of these cycles, especially when it comes to the Kali Yuga. What's that all about?
Excellent observation. And it highlights a really important point.
Mm-hmm.
These ancient texts, we can't always take them literally.
So we shouldn't be trying to calculate the exact dates of cosmic cycles.
Exactly. It's more about getting the big picture, the meaning, the context. The way these cycles are described, it can change depending on the text, its purpose, who it was written for.
Like having different calendars. We have our normal year, but then there's the fiscal year, academic year.
Exactly. Perspective and function. For example, that 5-year cycle in the Vedogga Jyotiya, that old Indian astronomical text, it's got a totally different use than those massive cosmic eras we talked about.
So it's about looking past the literal stuff, focusing on the deeper meaning of these cycles.
Exactly. And that deeper meaning comes back to this. Change is constant. Creation, destruction, happening all around us, all the time.
Makes you wonder how understanding those cycles can change how we live our lives right now,
Now, that is a great question, and it's something we're going to dive into in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, so we've gone through billions of years of cosmic cycles, this idea of a universe constantly being reborn, even dipped our toes into time travel.
That's a lot to take in.
It is. But I have to ask, what does all this ancient wisdom have to do with our lives, right now?
It's the big question, right? Honestly, it's something I think about all the time. See, these cosmic cycles, they're not just abstract ideas happening out there somewhere. They're happening inside us all the time.
Okay, now that's just wild. How can something as huge as a kalpa, how can that relate to, me?
Remember those 5 cosmic acts we talked about? Creation, sustenance, dissolution, veiling, grace. Those principles. They're everywhere, even in our own lives.
Okay, I need an example. This is blowing my mind.
All right, think about a normal day. You wake up, right, full of potential. That's creation.
Yeah.
Then you go through your day experiencing stuff, interacting. That's sustenance. Night comes, your energy drops, you get tired, your mind goes quiet as you fall asleep. Dissolution, veiling. And then, boom, new day. You wake up refreshed, ready for whatever. Grace.
I've never thought about a single day like that. It's like we're living mini cycles of the entire universe.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just days, too. Think about bigger life cycles. Birth, growing up, getting older, eventually. Those are all reflections of those bigger cosmic rhythms.
So are you saying that by understanding these cycles, we can actually change how we experience our lives?
Absolutely. When we get that, change is going to happen, that even the bad times are temporary. It's calming. We don't cling so much to what's fading away. We're more open to what's next.
It's like that saying, this too shall pass, but backed up by billions of years of proof.
Exactly. And when we see those challenges, those dissolution moments in our own lives as chances for growth, that's powerful stuff.
So instead of being scared of change, we can dance with it.
Yeah. Find that flow within the ups and downs, the ebb and flow of being alive.
That's beautiful. But there's this one thing, it keeps coming back to me, this whole free will versus destiny thing. If everything's cyclical, if it all keeps repeating, does that mean our lives are already decided? Do we actually have a choice in who we are, what we do?
Big questions, right? Philosophers have been debating that forever. No easy answers. But here's how I try to see it. Maybe, just maybe, free will and destiny aren't total opposites.
Okay, now I'm really listening.
Picture this. You've got a canvas, but the canvas is a circle. Inside that circle, you can paint anything, make choices, express yourself, total freedom. But the circle, those are the boundaries set by destiny, the fact that everything is cyclical.
So we're free to create, but within the bigger picture, within the cycles.
Yes, and that's where karma comes in. Our choices, they have effects. They're like ripples, right? Touching our lives, but also the lives of everyone around us, spreading outward, shaping the future.
Like the butterfly effect, but cosmic.
Right. We can't control those huge cycles, but we can control how we move within them. We can choose to be aware, to be kind, to remember we're all connected in this giant cosmic dance.
It makes you realize even our smallest actions can have massive consequences. Kind of puts things in perspective, huh?
It really does. We have so much power to be forces of creation, of sustenance, of grace, even in this world.
This whole conversation has been amazing. It reminds you that even with the whole universe out there, our journeys still matter. And even though time feels like a straight line, there's this deeper truth underneath it all.
And maybe the most important takeaway, this dance of time, it's still happening. We're all a part of it, and we all have a part to play.
It's been incredible exploring all this with you. Thank you so much for guiding us through ancient Hindu cosmology and how it connects to, well, everything.
It's been my pleasure.
And for everyone listening, remember, keep exploring, keep asking those big questions, and keep dancing with time. There's always more out there. We'll be back next time with another deep dive. Until then, happy exploring.